Making mousse. It's really a very simple technique with some very, very important guidelines to follow. Everything must be cold, 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 cold. The blade in your food processor must be sharp, sharp, sharp. We're gonna go ahead and add our beef to our food processor here, okay? Salts, polyphosphate, and then our pink salt. Quickly. Remember that the more you pulse, the more it turns, the warmer it's going to get. So we want to be very quick with that. So we're going to add our crushed ice there and keeping it colder. Processing until it becomes very smooth and it'll become a little shiny as well. So get that down. Do this as quickly as you possibly can. Scrape it down one more time. Okay. Our beef mousse, ready to be chilled down. We made our mousse, which is the base for our farce, right? So the farce is the stuffing. It's going to go around the braised short rib and be enveloped in the crepe, and then envelop that in the brioche. All of this can be done ahead of time. Okay, so we're using dried black trumpet mushrooms. You can substitute something else if you don't like black trumpet mushrooms. Any mushroom will do. In the case if you're using dried mushrooms, you have to rehydrate them. Use warm water because it's going to help rehydrate them quicker. And we're going to wash them at the same time. We're going to clean them. You can see the color of the water now. So and you can see little particles in there. Never pour anything that you're cleaning into a strainer because the dirty water just pours back over what you're trying to wash. So always remove it like that. In this case, I'm going to squeeze it out, put it in my fresh bowl, and then put warm water on it again. So I'm going to do this until the water is clear. This is the second rinse of the mushrooms, and the water is still a little cloudy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set those aside because I've done these already ahead of time. Okay, we've got our mushrooms here. I'm going to remove them. Of course, it's still a little dark, but that is also caused by the color of the mushroom. Okay, and I'm going to heat up my saute pan. Okay, again, over moderate low heat. Okay, so I'll put my onions there. Just a quick chop on the mushrooms here. Right. They're going to get chopped up anyway a little later, so it doesn't have to be anything special. You can add a little bit of water to the onions if you want to. In this case, I'm just going to use a little bit of that mushroom water that we had. It's not going to give it much flavor, but at least gives me some integrity of what I'm using. Go ahead and add my mushrooms. Start layering my spinach in. I'm going to put one layer in, then I'm going to season it. I always add layers of spinach and season in between. So I get the appropriate amount of seasoning. Now remember, this is the recipe from Tack Room. If you don't like spinach or you want to use something else or not use spinach at all, actually you can just use the mousse as a plain mousse. Okay. You can see the color is really nice as well. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and cool our spinach down. And then we're going to go ahead and make our farce. We have our mousse here. We have our chopped spinach and our trumpet de l'amour or black trumpet mushrooms. I have some chopped chives and I have some creme fraiche. And we're just going to go ahead and mix those ingredients together, right? Okay. And this is very cold, so we want to keep everything cold again as much as possible. Now everything should be seasoned fairly well, so I'm confident that I don't really have to add any more salt to this. Just incorporating all of our ingredients together. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put it in our pastry bag. Okay. Try not to have any air pockets in there. Okay, we want to try to keep it as condensed or as compressed as we possibly can. There we go. Okay. Just going to put that tip off of there, letting the air out. Use the back of my hand. Or if you have, even better, my bench scraper, and just scrape it down. And I don't see any air in there. All right. We're going to go ahead and now portion this in the appropriate size for our beef Wellington assembly. You're going to have a certain amount of trim left, and you're going to be able to use that in any way that you want. It's really good stuff, and don't be afraid of that. So I'm looking at this. I'm going to carve this so I can get a 2.5 by 5 by approximately 1 inch thick block. I'm going to try to trim it right down here first, right? Trying to capture as much of that thickness that I can. Look at that beautiful color as well as the marbling, right? 2.5. Just do my score down there, making sure that I'm even. Let my knife go through it. Squaring that off. It's actually 5 3/4 inches. I've been saying 5.5. It's actually 5 3/4. Again, it just depends on how big a Wellington you want to make. We could make this 6 inches and have a larger Wellington if we rolled out our brioche large enough, and it could serve 3 people. Okay? Trim there. Again, just lightly making it flat on that side. Okay? And then the same here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that our short rib is dry. Just pat it dry, get any moisture off of it that you can. We have our farce. We can go ahead and put some beads right down there. Nice and slow, making sure that the diameter of my piping is the same. And just a little more down the center. A little palette knife here. I'm just going to kind of smooth that out. We want to make a little dome on there, right? We have our crepe down now. Put a piece of plastic film, plastic wrap down. I've moistened my cutting board or my surface with a little bit of water so it doesn't stick too much. We want to make sure that we get the crepe basically around the top portion as much as is the most important part. We're just going to cut a little piece here and put that down the center. Pick up our wrap, stretch it a little bit there, and just go ahead and set that shape. We'll go ahead and put that in the refrigerator and let that set, get really cold for about an hour. So we're back to our brioche. I've trimmed this to about a 4 by 8 piece. We have our lattice cutter here. I'm just going to start here, push down with a good amount of pressure, and just pull. If I did it the other way, the dough may roll up onto the cutter. So with this cutter, we want to be very careful. And I'm applying a good amount of pressure. Okay. We have our brioche that we rolled out earlier, 10 by 12. We have our Wellington that we just wrapped in our crepe. We're going to go ahead and brush the entire surface with an egg wash. And this egg wash has a whole egg yolk, and a little bit of cream in it as well. So it's just a nice light brushing. We're going to dust it with a little bit of flour, help it stick together, or Wellington. Go ahead and fold over. Fold over. turn it. So we just want to make sure that they're overlapped, those pieces. Okay. Little rolling pin here. We're just going to press down in there. Okay. Okay, now you see how it flared out a little bit there? We're just going to go ahead and straighten it out. Okay. Let's use a little ravioli wheel there, okay? If you don't have a ravioli wheel, you can go ahead and cut it. And then just crimp it with a knife or with a fork. Before we get on, we're going to brush off all of the excess flour. We're going to add our lattice to this. A little bit of flour down. Take our lattice that we've cut. We're just going to start to spread it out. Go ahead and trim this side here. Egg wash the top of our Wellington. Our lattice on, trim off the excess. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for about an hour, let that set, and then we'll finish brushing it with a little more of the egg wash to get the cover the lattice, and then we're going to bake it. So when you put your final coat of egg wash on there, just be careful because you don't want to pull the lattice by pulling it with the brush. Okay, we'll just get a little bit on the lattice there just before it goes in the oven. Okay, or actually you can do this ahead of time and just have it in your refrigerator ready to go. We've baked our beautiful Wellington. We've let it rest for 10 minutes, which is really critical in anything that we're doing with different proteins. That Wellington is probably beginning right about here, so we're going to trim off the end, right, to get to where the protein is. So we're using a serrated knife, which is the best knife to use through dough, right, through bread. We use a bread slicer. And again, when you're using the slicer, you're going back and forth. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on that. I'm sawing through it, okay? As I move it back and forth, slice through the dough. I know it's going to slice right through the mousse, it's going to slice right through the crepe, it's going to slice right through the protein. It's really the dough that I want to make sure that I'm slicing through. Okay. There we go. You can see that. Brush it with a little clarified butter. Or sometimes we also use beef fat to give a little more richness. And also just for that beautiful presentation that makes it shine. A little bit of Maldon salt or whatever finishing salt that you like. Port wine truffle sauce. You can put as much sauce or as little sauce on it as you like. I'm just going to go ahead and just surround all of it with sauce. There we go. Beef Wellington a la Tack Room. I want to thank all of you for the joy you brought many of us at Tack Room. Thank you for allowing me to kind of relive some of our Tack Room recipes with you. I'm not saying that I'm not going to do another Tack Room presentation or demonstration, but let me hear from you what you would like me to do. It was nice to hear that many of you wanted to see the Wellington. I know it was a lot of work for us, and so I just want to thank everybody once again for being here and being with me. Hoping all of you stay safe out there, and wishing you happy holidays.